Hi, I'm Jim Stroud, and this is my podcast. I read recently that military recruiting had been drastically impacted by coronavirus pandemic. Duh. and it reminded me of an article I wrote some time ago. In the article, I discussed how a certain military recruiter used unethical practices to recruit when faced with a quota and a difficult hiring environment. For giggles, I looked up my old article and thought, hey, this advice is still relevant for job seekers today. So I decided to share it in this episode of the Jim Stroud Podcast, along with a very special announcement. Stay tuned for both.
Recruitment marketing, as compared to maybe employer branding, is all about getting your message and your story in front of the right audience. It's a lot to manage, and what Proactive Talent does for our clients is we help centralize so you have one partner, one vendor to help you manage all those relationships. And not only that, we help you track the effectiveness of every media dollar you spend on hiring so that you know in real time that you're getting the greatest ROI for your marketing investment to attract great talent into your company. We help our clients with recruitment marketing in a couple ways. One is in recruitment marketing strategy. And with that, we really take the time to help you build the right strategy, and then we get mutual approval on that strategy before you spend a single dime. The other way we do this is through our agency of record service. This is a partnership with you where we're able to reach out to publishers on your behalf to negotiate better pricing, to execute on media campaigns, and really act as an extension of your team. Some of the benefits that our clients have seen working with Proactive Talent's recruitment marketing services is an overall reduction of 30% cost per applicant. That's really significant. It's showing that we're able to leverage great technology, programmatic, and we're also flexible and scalable. We're platform agnostic. We're always going to use whatever the greatest and latest technology is, whatever the best platforms are to help create efficiencies in your media purchasing so that you're always on the cutting edge.
For more information on Proactive Talent, visit them online at proactivetalent.com or click the link in the podcast description. Here begins a quote from an article I wrote back in 2008. Wow, where does the time go? Okay, here it begins. Recently, I have read several disturbing articles about unscrupulous recruiters. One particular story focused on a military recruiter who threatened to have a wavering would-be recruit arrested if he backed out of his decision to join the military. Deeper into the article, it was also reported how a group of military recruiters were allegedly offering information on fake diplomas and ways to get around drug tests and physical fitness requirements. In both instances, said recruiters were facing disciplinary actions. Furthermore, the article goes on to say how a mandatory retraining will be instituted to guard against such happening again, at least in the near future. When I read that article, I was struck by the notion that these deplorable tactics were not exclusive to military recruiters. At its core, recruiting is a sales position with a very visible quota. The recruiter must sell to a candidate the notion that the company and job he or she represents is the best possible fit for said candidate. Secondly, the recruiter must convince his client that the candidate he or she has found is the best fit for the client's role. Finally, the recruiter must resolve issues that would keep either party from signing an offer letter. As a former recruiter, I have to tell you, it is a tight wire act, and all too often, the job seeker is regarded as expendable. This is especially true when dealing with search firms who do not get paid until a hire is made. Those are contingency recruiters. Or search firms who have been paid a fee up front and are pressured to produce within a reasonable amount of time. Those are retained recruiters. When quotas are unmet and the clients start barking, recruiters tend to go into survival mode. Some of these survivalist recruiters may log into Monster, grab all the emails of candidates they can find, and spam a proposition until they get lucky. In these cases, recruiters are focusing on keywords in your resume more so than your entire work history, just in case you ever wondered why you were approached about jobs you were obviously unqualified for or just not a fit for. Survivalist recruiters might also hound you by telephone and get a message from their client that the position is now closed or changed and neglect to call you back. Additionally, they might contact you and basically tell you what you want to hear. For example, you might clearly state on your resume that you are not open to relocation for any reason. The survivalist recruiter would ignore that entirely, hoping that a conversation with their client might persuade you otherwise, thus wasting everyone's time. In some cases, unscrupulous recruiters have called into a candidate's company with the purpose of divulging your present boss of your intention to seek outside employment. Why? Well, if you are no longer working, perhaps then you'll be more attentive to their opportunity. I could go on, but I think you get the picture. I tell you, the job seeker, this because I want you to be informed of what goes on at the other end of the submit resume button. I also tell you this as a means of explaining why I have written a manifesto addressing these issues. Recruiters are not faceless robots for unfeeling corporations, nor are they ruthless used car salesmen seeking their own ends. In my 10 years of working within the recruiting industry, I have seen recruiters good and bad, as it is with any profession. My feeling is that the vast majority of recruiters of every discipline are good people trying to do their job, and on occasion they need help. They need to be reminded that you, the job seeker, are just as human and deserving of the same amount of respect. Towards that end, I have written a manifesto calling recruiters to accountability. The next time a recruiter requests your resume, try adding this as a cover letter. I'll leave a link in the description to this verbiage. Dear recruiter, I grant you permission to review my resume and contact me concerning pending and or present opportunities if you promise to abide by the following code of ethics. Number 1. Contact me for positions of which I am reasonably capable of performing. Please take a moment to ensure that my entire work history is compelling and not just certain keywords within my resume. Number 2. If you decide not to contact me after reviewing my resume, but instead elect to keep a copy of my resume, please advise me of this via email. I like to keep track of who has access to my resume. 3. Do not forward my resume to your clients without my consent. I would not want my present or future chances of joining a company hampered by multiple recruiters shopping my work history to the same company over and over again. 4. Should you decide to contact me, do not lie about the job or the client you represent. I understand that at times recruiters are under pressure to meet certain numbers. Please be advised that deceiving me about a job only impedes your progress. And 5. Of the utmost importance to me is the status of my candidacy. More often than not, closure is elusive to job seekers after a resume has been submitted. If the possibility of my working for your client is good, slim, or non-existent, simply put, I want to know. Recruiter, I understand that you read a lot of resumes daily and that you are in the business of getting people hired. However, I want you to remember that I am a real person and not a commodity to be bartered. Thank you for the ethical treatment of my resume. Sincerely, a job seeker. I hope you found that useful or will find it useful next time you are on the market for work. And now, a special announcement. I am taking a hiatus from producing the Jim Stroud podcast so I can focus on a new podcast entitled Things I Think About. The focus of that podcast will be history, culture, and politics. I may delve into other things from time to time, but pretty much the general area of what I'll be operating in are those three things: history, culture, and politics. At some point, or rather at this point, I have a draft of a few episodes. See if memory serves. On one episode, I'm discussing my views on the destruction of statues. On another, I'm talking about why I think defunding the police is a bad idea. Another one I think is about snowflakes and the chances they have for employment in the future. If you subscribe to my blog, jimstroud.com, you'll be sure to get notified once this new podcast goes live. For better or worse, I think my new podcast, Things I Think About, will be quite interesting. If you love what you heard, hate what you heard, or don't know what you just heard, I want to know about it. You can leave a comment concerning this podcast on my website at www.jimstroud.com. In addition to finding source material and related information for this podcast episode, you'll find other goodies that I hope will make you smile. And if you have not already, please subscribe to my website. Your continued support keeps this podcast train chugging down the track.